For time beyond memory, people have experienced at first hand physical, visual, and auditory events which could not be explained, and so it was feared. Today, we call this the paranormal. Our podcast will delve into this world of the unknown. So sit back and join Tina, Jake, Chris, and Bill and journey into the darkness with us. Welcome to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 19 of the Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast. And this week we have decided to do one of the famous haunted cases, and it was the Amityville house.
He changed his story over the years and was once quoted saying, "I'm the one they say who did it. I'm the one that's supposed to be possessed by the devil." When the priest came to bless the house, during the blessing he heard the words "get out," and he told the family to never sleep in that particular room.
They were proven that they were telling the truth,
Yeah.
and they brought in about the levitation as well. So they asked, "Did you levitate?"
I hope this is as close to hell as I ever get.
George Lutz was a rioter. He was said to dabble in the occult himself.
So some say when they caught that picture, it's the ghost of the murdered child John Defoe.
So Chris is going over his notes there.
By God, there are some notes.
So, did you do your homework, Chris?
There's a lot of notes here.
I
Chris
know.
done a thesis on it.
There's and everybody here has a different opinion on the house.
When's the book out,
On the
Chris?
case.
It's the book. I spent there was a lot of reading done in this. So I've two sentences.
Yes.
No, how's it doing, guys? What?
No full stops, it's just one.
It's just one. How's it doing, guys? Yeah, so as Tina said there, we're going to have a discussion, for want of a better word, about the Amityville case in New York.
Long Island.
That's the one, Long Island. Fair play to you, Tina. That's fair play. One up me there, why not? So before I kick off, even Billy, before we came on there, there's a lot of stuff out there online. A lot of sources, and the ones I used is history.com, beautifulhouse.com, biography.com, and there was actually a paper, would you believe? Did any of you see that paper as a 4-pager? Like, it actually was like a report. Any of you see that? No? No, seen it. AlexThanos.org sounds like a Marvel thing, but anyway. And it was history versus Hollywood.com. Anyway, getting into it.
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? Yeah.
Oh my God.
So anyway, the town of Amityville is 30 miles outside New York in Long Island, and on the 13th of November 1974, in a 3-story house originally built for John and Catherine Moynihan, I think it is.
Moynihan, yeah.
That's the one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ronald Defoe Jr., who was 23 years of age at the time, murdered his parents and 4 brothers and sisters, like 4 siblings altogether, using a .35 Marlin rifle at 112 Ocean Avenue. After the killings, he initially blamed the killings on the mafia, or on the mob, but then he confessed to the murders himself the next day. He said once he started pulling the trigger, he couldn't stop, and it was the voices from the house that made him do it. All the family members, I think this is only fresh to myself, I actually don't remember seeing this anywhere, but all the family members were found face down in their beds with their hands above their heads.
Yeah.
Did you see that before?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I
you?
remember that.
And the neighbours, I think the closest house or something like that was like 40 feet away, and no neighbour said that they heard any gunshots or anything at the time. And when the police investigated the scene, there was not one sign of struggle inside the house. Defoe himself was said to be a known LSD and heroin user. Maybe that was a factor that played a part, we don't know. But his trial for them murders began on October 14, 1975, where he initially used insanity as a defence. However, he was convicted of all murders and received 6 consecutive sentences of 25 years to life in prison.
And rightly
So that was, what I'd say is it was the Defoe family that were killed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what I read up on as well, 6 weeks before the murders happened, the father of the Defoe went and bought the religious statues that's in the garden. Did you hear that?
He didn't, I don't think so.
I think you only brushed over that bit of reading.
Yeah, I might have went that.
How did you
No.
not get that much detail?
You see, this is one of there was a few weird things that happened, let's say, when the murders happened. One is the way they were lying. Number two, the
Yeah.
neighbours didn't hear any gunshot. But number three, then, what I had read was he went 6 weeks before, so he was an atheist.
Okay.
He had no religion, and he went and bought these statues. And when he got back, they were saying if there was nothing going on in the house before this, no hauntings, and
Yeah,
why did he buy those statues? And when he was asked why did he get the statues, he said it's for the devil that's on my shoulder. And then everybody presumed that when he said it's the devil on my shoulder, everybody presumed that it was his son he was talking about, because the son had messed around with drugs and stuff like that.
And there was a cottage there before that was built as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was removed by the Minahans, I think.
Yeah, well, I think someone built the house for them, like the house we're talking about.
Yeah, so
built it for them, didn't they?
Yeah,
somebody built, but your man that built the house was Ireland. Did you know that?
Irish,
his surname was something Ireland, and he bought it then for the Moynahans.
Yeah.
He was Irish.
Well, we don't know if he was Irish.
connection.
His name was Ireland.
Look, what I read it today, I was actually trying to suss out, because Moynihan sounds a very Irish name as well.
Moynihan is an Irish
To be
name.
fair.
Yeah.
Now, I tried to delve down it. I don't know if the property was bought from an Irish person or was it built for them being Irish. Do you get what I mean?
You see,
I couldn't.
to me, I tried to see the link with the there was no link.
Yeah.
It was something Ireland built the house for the Moynahans, but there was no mention that any of them were Irish.
I get you, yeah.
So I found no link with Irish.
But no, it's an interesting one. So he actually, Defoe himself, changed his stories over the years.
Yeah.
And he died in, if I remember right, it was March of 2021, and he was 69. So you mentioned about the devil being on my shoulder. I'm actually scrolling from my notes. It took me 15 years to get to it. But he actually, there was actually a quote by him saying, I'm the one that's supposed to be possessed by the devil, or something like that. He was interviewed a couple of years later, and he said, like, that's what he came out with, that I'm the one that was supposed to be possessed by the devil. I don't know if that's linked to what you were saying.
No, I heard nothing about
But
that.
that is one of the quotes, apparently. Here it is, I got it. So he changed his story over the years and was once quoted saying, I'm the one they say who did it. I'm the one that's supposed to be possessed by the devil. And that's what he said in one of his interviews before. Now, I don't know if that's linking back to what you were saying there. But what's your thoughts, first of all, actually, on him changing the story?
Yeah, you see, changing the story when you're in the limelight of being like the media, they're looking at him and looking at him and looking at him, so changing the story could be he could remember more things or forget something, and then the story's changed and he's going to be ripped apart anyway, whether it's real or whether it's not real. Once the media are involved, they're going to rip you to shreds.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I don't know what the story is about that. And then the next family that went in, they only lasted 28 days.
The Lutzes,
So the Lutzes went in, and they were a young couple, and they had got, I think, 50,000, was it? They got it for, well, something like
80.
that. Yeah, so they were a young couple. All of their investment went into this, and they were saying, why did they run? Yeah.
But that, like, they actually got it a bargain compared to what it was actually worth. But yeah, they said, as you said, it lasted 28 days, but apparently what they've meant to have witnessed, George himself said he'd wake up at 3:15 a.m. every morning.
So this is George who?
Lutz. And that was at the same time as when the murders were committed, or happened, I should say. They said that the house was full of strange smells, and a green slime oozed from the walls and keyholes in the doors, and there were certain areas of the house where there'd be just unexplained cold spots. When the priest came to bless the house, during the blessing he heard the words "get out," and he told the family to never sleep in that particular room. The garage door opened and closed. There was a knife that was knocked down in the kitchen, and a pig-like creature with red eyes was seen in the window of the house as well, when I think it was George and his son was looking back at the house. And people were levitating as well in their sleep.
So this is what I want to ask you as well. These murders happened in 74, was it?
74, yeah.
In 79, did you hear that there was they done a lie detector?
Oh yeah, in the past.
So they done a lie detector in 1979, the Lutzes,
Yeah.
Catherine and George Lutz. And when they done the lie detector, the lie detector, they were proven that they were telling the truth.
Yeah.
And they brought in about the levitation as well. So they asked, did you levitate, in your mother's house after this had happened? And Catherine Lutz said, yeah. They said that was true. And these ones, so I was listening to Ed Warren's interview today.
Yeah.
So Tony Spira was interviewing Ed and Lorraine Warren about this. Now he's very definite that it wasn't fake, he'll stand over it, that it wasn't fake. But I know you have your opinion on it, Jake. I want you to share the opinion, because everybody has different opinions. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. What's your opinion on this, Jake?
Well, I mean, there is a lot. Like, I don't have it here in front of me, but I remember we were watching a documentary that was going into the Lutz family when they were there, and there was a lot of things that weren't adding up. I don't have it here in front of me. I'm not gonna.
You wouldn't have much faith in it, wouldn't you? Know, like your opinion of it, you'd be more on the opinion that maybe things didn't happen.
Yeah, for the Lutz family anyway, I'd have more the opinion that they were all just kind of milking it for what it was.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
But you're not, to be honest, you're not the only one that has doubted it.
Yeah.
Like things that I spotted there, the same with the lie detector test that passed it, but other people were saying they had a lot of money issues, which may have led them to making it up. Their solicitor, William Weber, said that in 1979, the Treven made up the story around many bottles of wine.
Yeah, that was in that program as well, the documentary, we seen that.
And then, but it came out later that the Lutzes actually never drank. They weren't drinkers. They had a blessed bottle of wine in the house that was given to them by the priest. So they tried to say no, that never happened.
And also what Ed, the documentary or the interview that I seen today, back when this had all happened and they were called out for being hoax and fake, and when they got the bad rap for this, he offered $3,000 to anybody that could prove that the Lutzes were lying, that he was lying, or that this whole situation was a fake. All they had to do was present him with something. Well, here, Lutz is after lying with this, or that's a proven lie. Nobody came forward to get that $3,000, and back in the day, that was a good bit of money.
And the news, the Newsday, I think it was, they debunked most of the story. It's a report that was done back in 1976. So they debunked most of the Amityville story.
But debunked as in what?
As in they debunked what was happening. Tried
How?
to debunk. I don't know, I wasn't in there. I don't know. They probably debunked it by just the stories probably weren't the same and stuff like that. And
I'll tell you where I am with this. I don't know what's real or what's fake, because I don't think you'll ever know if it's real or if it's fake. I know the stories that I hear of people saying, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's fake, and then you hear more, and then you're like, oh God, that's real. And so I'm on the I can't prove it, and so I'm on the fence for that. I just don't know about that.
Well, in that I'll call it paper, I'll call it, it did touch on some of the hoax and where this might have originated from, as in the hoax rumours. But first, like, the Warrens met with Father, I'm probably getting this name, I'm trying to pronounce things, but the Warrens, when they first got involved, they met with Father Picario, I think is his name.
He was talking people even said he wasn't real.
Oh really?
Yeah. Yeah, people said that he was fake. They made up
Oh,
father.
they made up the... Okay.
Where, no, he came out then. There was a father.
There was. He actually does exist.
He does
Or
exist.
did. Hopefully he still does. And so they met with them, the Lutzes, who said they'd never go back into the house because they left all their belongings there. And they actually went to the house, the Warrens did. When they got there the first time, they went with an anchorman from Channel 5, a professor from Duke University, and the president of the American Society of Psychic Research.
Yeah.
And during the first day, Lorraine said, Lorraine, if I'm correct in saying, was like a clairvoyant. Is clairvoyant the right word? Or, and she said she was being bombarded just the minute she walked in the door. Her sense, like that, for want of a better word, her senses were being bombarded. Ed went into the basement because he was of the opinion that's where all the evil things lurk during the day.
I see, and he said that as well, yeah.
And when he went down there, he said he witnessed shadows and pinpoints of light. And he said he felt like the shadows were trying to push him to the ground. And
he said he felt it one other time, this pressure on his chest and all, like underwater. He couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And he said he felt it one other time, but it wasn't as severe as that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he started using like religious protection, he felt like something was trying to pick him up and throw him to the ground, or pick him up and do, obviously not good things. Again, my sincerest apologies to you all for the long-winded. Lorraine went to the second floor, and she said it felt a force like the rushing water was trying to push her back against her. When she went into the sawn room is when that quote came from, with the anchorman. She said, "I hope this is as close to hell as I ever get." When she went into Missy's bedroom, she could tell that it was the same furniture still there from the night of the murders, and that the Lutz's children had slept in them.
Yeah, so the bed that the mother and father Lutzes had, the Defoes, the bed that they had died in, that was still there. The furniture and all was still there. It was only the mattress changed.
They changed the mattress, yeah.
But the Defoe father was abusive to his wife as well.
There was a lot of things.
There was a lot of abuse and stuff in it. Yeah.
On that note, and like exactly what Lorraine says, she encountered his spirit. Why am I doing inverted leaves as if people can see me when they're listening?
Oh, we can see it, it's okay.
But she said she encountered his spirit on the third floor, and she said he was very sinister. She didn't like being around him, like it wasn't a good, obviously, experience. But yeah, I've seen stuff about that as well.
Yeah.
And the whole thing he found out about his son dabbling in drugs and stuff like that, and he wasn't meant to be too happy about that either, So during that, she went back downstairs and said, "Can you communicate with the spirits of the house and ask what happened here? Tell us exactly what happened." But when she tried to do that, the professor from Duke University passed out. 2 investigators complained of heart palpitations and had to sit on the floor. And Mary, again, my sincerest apologies, Pascarella, the director of primary psychic group, became ill and had to leave the house, and she said she'd never go back in again.
And people that worked on this investigation, there's only one that was still alive or something by that time, the 70s or 80s, when Ed was given this interview. They all died from heart attacks or problems with their heart, except one, I think, didn't they say that? But did Ed take a heart attack or something just after doing the case, or there was something with his heart as well? But they all died, so there was...
So even the fellow that wrote the book, he had a heart attack.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what Lorraine was saying, that there was a lot of things linked. I just think with media, they're going to scrutinise you anyway. I'm not saying that Amityville is real or it's not real. I'm just saying it's very hard to tell, because when the media are involved, it'll delve into every part of what
the
you're
older
doing.
it gets, the story goes, it gets timeless, and then it just changes. Like,
so you're going to miss
becomes urban legend.
Yeah, and you're going to leave out certain things as well. Just naturally, you leave out certain things.
Because the real tragedy is the people that were murdered.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%. 6 people died.
Yeah.
6, like, that's mad.
Well, when I say died,
like, that's
they were
going to
murdered.
tarnish anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So the Hawks thing apparently began with a man by the name of Dr. Stephen Kaplan. But in that paper, they said he never actually held a doctorate from any university, and this was highlighted numerous times during when he was saying it was the Hawks. He was the president of Parapsychology Society in Long Island, but they say he founded that himself. Ed and Lorraine and this said that they believed he didn't like him because George Lutz asked him to investigate the house before then. But when he did turn up to investigate, he arrived with 6 witches and a news team, and George threw him off the property. Jake, I notice you're smiling there. What's that about?
Six what?
Apparently he arrived with 6 witches and a news team.
No, that's interesting.
6 what?
Witches. Yeah. And George threw him off the property. Kaplan said that Jay Anson's book, which is obviously the famous Amityville horror, has inconsistencies in it and wasn't accurate, but the Warrens themselves actually said they agreed there was some inaccuracies, but due to the fact he wasn't up to date or he wasn't familiar with the field of demonology, so it wasn't intentional, it was just errors, genuine errors. Kaplan said he had evidence of the hoax and had offered the 3, or here I said 5,000, but provided, but he didn't, and he ultimately actually apologised to the Warrens afterwards. I'm near the end. Another hoax ruse says the police wanted to keep people away from the house because traffic was building up and it was getting too hard to manage at the time. They said no. So I think the police chief's son was a news reporter. So I think that's how that got out being hoax as well. The Lutzes themselves actually made very little money from the books and movies. The only real person that they say made a lot of money or big profit was the book writer.
So,
yeah.
You know, George Lutz was a writer himself.
Yeah.
And he wrote a few books about it. This is where I just remembered after saying it.
Oh, sorry, George Lutz?
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, I said yeah, or just jumped in. No, I didn't actually know that, yeah.
Yeah, as far as I remember, the podcast I was listening to was saying George Lutz was a writer. He was said to dabble in the occult himself.
Yeah.
So the person I was listening to was basically saying that he saw an opportunity to make money.
Yeah.
And he went in and he lived there and he said all this happened and he wrote his books.
Well, he got very little money as far as I know, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't a money venture.
3 or 4 books he wrote.
I generally didn't know, yeah.
I think I knew.
Mm.
And that's what the person I was listening to, that it was saying that he saw an opportunity, to write his books from living there and took it like.
I think I'm going to get into now in the next kind of second half of this. I'm going to ask you, how would you like to investigate and how would you have actually investigated it? But we'll get there. Billy, what's your thoughts on it?
Going back to the murders and stuff like that and the abuse that was in the house, obviously if he thinks he's going to get less time for claiming insanity or the devil made me do it, if you want to say it like that, he's going to do that because he was obviously quite an intelligent man if he was able to kind of wrangle it that way. So again, I agree with Tina and Jake, you just don't know because there's so many different variations of the story.
There's a lot of factors in it.
There's a lot of factors in it, and there's probably a line down the middle where there's truth, and then each side of that there's little inconsistencies.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to say.
It's like all those things, though, unless you were there yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You're always going to be gone by.
It's like we go to location, people are going to have their opinions, and of what's true and what's not true, etc., etc. Like we know, but again, those people that were involved in that, they know.
Yeah, exactly. You probably remember the famous photo that was taken. I think it was on the second floor or the second floor?
Second floor of the stairs.
Yeah, of the young boy. Well, they assume it's a young boy. That was taken in 1976. Sorry, John?
Was that actually debunked as being one of the people who was working there?
They say it could have been.
Yeah.
So,
but it was never debunked. It's not 100%, yeah.
So that was taken in 1976 during an investigation by Gene Campbell, who was a part of Ed and Lorraine Warren's team. He had set up like an infrared camera to obviously take pictures at night time. So some say when they caught that picture, it's the ghost of the murdered child John Defoe, but others say it could be Paul Bart, who was an investigator.
Kid of one of the...
No, an investigator on the night.
That. So, but the kid, he was around 6.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying it looks. Yeah,
it was a small child.
Yeah,
was it meant to be him or one of the investigators' kids?
I thought he said one of the kids.
I read somewhere years ago, I think it was, about that the kid, it was somebody's kids.
But they hadn't debunked it. This is what they were putting.
There was somebody in the photograph, they said, but they couldn't say it was somebody's kid or what it was. but there was definitely somebody in the photo.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there was,
It's like
because
if
it's
you
very...
if you know what an infrared camera does, like your eyes do go like that.
Oh no, they said the whites of the eyes.
Yeah.
But my thing is, why would you bring a kid that young to a...
You wouldn't
Yeah.
investigate.
You wouldn't
different
know,
in the
you
70s.
wouldn't.
Hmm?
It was different in the 70s. You know,
Yeah, but
bring your kids
if
a
it
lot
was
more.
a thing, it was
There's no health and
somebody's
safety back
kid,
then.
there wouldn't be that thing hanging over it. It could be this and it could... They'd say, oh, that's Tina's kid. Tina brought her
Yeah.
kid that
But
night.
if
That was never
person-
said.
If that person thought they could make some money out of it, they might.
They wouldn't say, yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Here we are, we're on the
It's,
fence
yeah,
again.
that's
yeah.
it's just their opinions.
Yeah,
There's
but-
investigators
but
out
they-
there that would catch something that they know exactly what it is,
Yeah.
and they'll release it saying they don't know what it is.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
thing is,
yeah.
as well, you could, like, again, just me
It's
thinking.
fabulous photo, like. in fairness.
I'm sure there was probably because that was a high publicised case at that stage, because it
Yeah.
happened in 70. What did we say? It was 74,
74.
and that was 2 years later.
The house was called High Hopes.
High Hawks, yeah.
Yeah, I seen that as well.
But like, if you have a kid, an investigator, I'm sure the kid is in school somewhere, and that picture gets out, they're going to say, "Oh, sure, that's John."
Yeah.
Do you get what I
It was a
mean?
very grainy photograph, in fairness, but it's the way he's peeking out through it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It is ominous looking, but
Yeah.
again, like a kid could do that, like peekaboo or.
Oh, of
whatever,
course,
you know
100%.
what I mean? Or,
So here's
or he
the...
might not have noticed the kid when it was taken, and
Yeah,
then because it does look kind of distorted.
yeah,
So he was like, "Oh no, there's nobody up on that floor." And whatever.
yeah. So the first question is, have you all seen the film?
Oh yeah, the original. original, yeah.
Have you read the book?
I haven't read the book.
I haven't. I find it very
Have you
hard.
not seen the film?
Original movie's beautiful. Oh, it's
Have you not
brilliant.
seen it?
It's
Seriously?
beautiful. I was going to say,
It's a good film.
it's a really good. The original movie's
Beautiful
brilliant.
film, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful film.
The original movie's very good. There's a remake in 2021, I think. or
Yeah.
something. But the original movie is
The
the best one.
original is actually very good. No,
really
you
good
should
film,
watch
yeah.
it, Jake, just for the sake of the,
The second
name
one,
and, you know.
the second one's good as well. Would you, in a hypothetical, would you investigate the
Oh,
Amityville?
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Same. It's actually 50 years now this year.
Wow.
Since the murders. Based on what we've all seen and read and all that kind of stuff in the public limelight, would you have any apprehensions about going into the house?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. What would you like to gain from it? Like, I know you're going to say audio, definitely. What way would you investigate it? Would you like to do it as a group, or would you go in on your own, or what way would you like to do it?
As a group.
As a
'cause you
group.
trust
Okay.
everybody. Like,
Yeah.
As a group, absolutely.
Overnight or a week?
Over a week.
Oh, a week.
Oh, absolutely.
Out there for a few months.
I'd love to know, like, the last thing I seen on, I think it was 2017 when it was sold. For 650, I think, if I remember right, 650,000.
Yeah, it was put up for 850 and
Yeah.
sold for 650.
Like, that's a lot of money
It
for a
was
house.
originally bought for 300 and something, wasn't it?
Crazy. Like, it's a lot of, that's a lot of money, like, you know.
But that was the first time it was at a loss, because it was sold all before, where they bought it for, let's say, 100,000 or 80,000,
But-
and they sold it for 200. So
But back
they were
back
like,
then, like money, the way the monetary system works is back then that was nearly the equivalent anyway, because you know, so it
Yeah.
was still a lot of money back when it was originally sold, etc., etc.
What is your thought? Like, I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but if anyone was to ask you tomorrow morning, Amityville, yes or no, did it happen? Well, this would be obviously no, with respect that the murders happened, but yes or no, was it the house that made him do it? Or was he just...
See, there's a lot that went on. There was drugs, there was messing around with the occult, there was abuse, there was a lot going on where you could say that's what it was,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then you hear some of the testimony from people that went in and witnessed some of the paranormal stuff. Then you say, shit, you know, all of them aren't lying.
But if the
So-
paranormal stuff happened after the murders, is that something to do with the murders?
But then
Just-
6 months before the murders,
Just what you were saying about people who were in the house, I just read George Lutz's stepson, Christopher Quarantino, insisted that the hauntings did happen. However, he claimed that George carelessly brought them upon the family by dabbling in the
Okay.
occult.
you see,
And he
yeah.
said, he
Opened up
quoted,
the door.
he's a professional showman in my opinion. The
Yeah.
other son said that everything his parents said was true as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I read something
That's
before?
interesting.
Yeah, that's
Just while you're there,
thanks
Jake,
for that info, Jake.
you can do a little fact check for me as well, Jake. I think I read something before about, was there John Ketchum or something like that? And he was meant to be buried on the grounds of the site.
And is that pre?
That's pre this. Yeah, he was to do with the Salem witch trials and all
Well,
this.
there
kind of
was
stuff.
if there was a cottage there back in the
I heard
1900s and stuff.
something
A lot
about
of
that.
people were kind of buried under homesteads.
No, this lad was meant to have been like into the occult.
Yeah.
Now it was meant to be discounted years later, but apparently he's meant to be buried on the site of the Amityville house. But while we're chatting, Jake, if you don't mind, Jake's
I'll look it up after. You know, the statements that the children gave are interesting. He said the other stepson said that George Lutz was extremely controlling and physically and verbally abusive as a stepfather. That leads many people into thinking the horrors Daniel suffered in the house were actually familiar in nature rather than paranormal.
Okay.
So it was the dad bringing on the horrors in the house.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
But after they both said, one said he's a showman and he brought it all on. The other said he was abusive and he brought it all on as well. But they both said it happened.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What were you going to say a few minutes ago, Tina? You were going to say something.
What's that name
Interesting,
again?
John.
I'm like a
Ketchum.
goldfish, Billy. Listen, if I don't say it straight away, I have to do another couple of loops and then it might come back to me.
Just to go around the ball.
I'm the same. So what were you going to say earlier, Tina? That was quite interesting.
I think that I'm 90% sure that was his name, Jake. But while we're chatting, just if you don't mind, as I said, Jake's a
No,
good fact
so
check.
there's a
John Ketchum,
Yeah.
Yes,
the
that's it.
witch of the Amityville
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
There's a lot here, but
I think it was something to do with the Salem. I'm not 100% sure.
I
But
heard something like what you were saying. But also, there is some sort of documentary. Where the two sons spoke about the dad. You seen that, did you?
I haven't seen that.
I seen it on the internet. There's a documentary that was done where those two sons, or stepsons or whatever, but there's one where the two of them speak.
yeah, I think it's called My Amityville Horror.
Is that what it
I
is?
think so.
It's
It was in
lads, you should look at
2013, I
it.
think.
Yeah, because they had no problems with saying how abusive.
But sure, wasn't George's stepdad like that? That actually, they weren't actually his children, were
No, they were his
Yeah.
stepchildren.
they?
And then the Warrens.
Not saying that makes any difference now, by the way, just to get that out there.
The Warrens said that the two, that he was in the interview that I seen today, they were saying how good George Lutz was to those kids.
Okay.
Oh, he was an amazing father and he took these on and, but then I believe the kids.
Yeah.
I 100% believe the kids.
See, I think for a lot of people as well, I'm just thinking like from people reading something like this back in the 70s, like imagine how, like I'd say if people found it very hard to believe something like that, you know what I mean? Probably even harder nowadays with the amount of technology and stuff that's out there, but it was probably a lot to take in at the one time maybe.
And you know what's really funny? The most interesting cases and the most well-known cases, they all happened around the 70s or 80s,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Oh, it's crazy about it.
It's
Yeah.
amazing as well because back then obviously there was no internet and stuff like that, so everything was newspaper
Exactly.
or TV. So to say that kept going through probably 300, 400, 500 people maybe, because that's the small circle of people that would have known about it back then.
Yeah.
Because nobody, like anybody in rural Ireland or anyone in Ireland or anything like that, a lot of people wouldn't have heard, never
They
even
wouldn't until the
heard about
internet,
that.
I know.
They probably heard about the murders, but that's it.
yeah.
Until the movies came out,
Yeah.
and then it sparked interest, and people start researching it more.
Yeah.
It's interesting that similar things would have happened around Ireland too. As you said, there's no internet or anything, so you don't read it
Yeah,
and then get led to
Yeah.
believing it could be happening to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nowadays you have to factor in people can read books, people can watch movies, people can Google anything and they could get led in a certain direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whereas back then you're not hearing about it as much.
well, the movie would have led people to believe it when that
Yeah.
came out. Because at the bottom of the movie, based on the true events,
Yeah.
etc.
So it's very hard as well when you're making something or writing something to not have an opinion.
Yeah.
It's very hard to write something when you're non-biased.
Yeah. Well, the movie is
you know.
very biased, obviously.
Like it's very hard to do that. Like, to try stand to the one side and just tell it. Like it's hard to do that.
And then Lorraine Warren, said today is, well, not today, but she said in what I was looking at today, she also said that like this case, everybody was screaming about, you know, the book and everybody talking, and the book came out and then the film, you know, there was all of that. She said that's one case. There was another 500 cases that were similar to that, but they weren't publicised.
Yeah.
She said you're only hearing because that one went public.
Yeah.
The
It
other
still
ones-
happens today, where like you'll see a murder somewhere on the planet or on the earth, wherever, and because somebody said that they were possessed, or you know, it's still happening, but it's
But
just
that
not as
thing that happened at a famous place in Dublin, and a guy, and he stabbed, remember, and he said it was the house that told him what to
that's
do.
right. Yeah.
You know, that was his mental health, or the house told him, you know, but it was just, it's yeah, that was a few years ago, but that still happens. Yeah.
I just read your man John Ketchum. It says here that he was in the area and he was real, but he wasn't buried under the house.
Oh, right.
There was a big Indian burial ground in the area,
Okay.
but it wasn't like directly under the house. And it also says here that around Amityville in Suffolk County, where Amityville is located, the area is known as the Devil's Quadrangle.
All right.
Yeah, and there's a large segment of the population that believe in all of it.
Yeah.
And it also says here that a lot of people say that nothing happened after the Lutz family in the house.
So I was going to ask, is that like, has anyone ever read anything?
Well, this says
after the
here,
fact.
this
Did they
is-
exercise
what was
the
this?
house?
This is like a kind of, what do you call this? Like a thesis, kind of.
Yeah.
This says that a group of Satanists led by Ricky Casso spent time there after the Lutzes.
Okay. But has anyone ever seen or read or anything after the fact?
No, nothing since, but what was brought up, people that lived there afterwards, this is what Ed Warren said in the interview. He said people that were there afterwards, and they said that they lived in the house and they felt totally happy and secure, and you know, this was good, and he goes, I just don't believe it.
Yeah.
You can't live in a house where 6 people have been killed and you say that that's a lovely house. It just doesn't work like that, he said. It just, you can't lift that
No,
much.
even if you don't believe in anything,
You see, I
it's
think
always going to be in your head.
I think it'd be very hard
quiet noise and
Just for example,
Yeah.
like if
to put that aside, though.
the biggest skeptic that doesn't believe in anything, if you're living in a house where something like that happened, it's always going to be in your head.
you get
So
paranoid,
that's why Ed
anyway,
was
yeah.
saying it's weird that there is nothing since,
Yeah.
because he said, I just don't believe that they've all lived there
Yeah.
and not experienced that, because, you know, your mind would play tricks on you anyway.
They
Yeah.
could
What
be
you said,
experiencing it,
Jake.
just not saying anything.
Yeah.
Like I know that the address was changed.
Yeah, they
The
changed
The
it
windows
to,
were changed.
What colour was the house, Jake? Just
We
asking.
were talking about this before.
You're gonna have to
Very-
explain that,
Certainly
Billy.
were.
Explain that, Billy.
No, I don't need any more. I don't think. I think my researcher to the left of me has
My researcher.
reaffirmed my earlier thoughts on the colour of the house, Chris.
Billy looked at a black and white picture
You said that,
and
yeah.
he said, what colour is that?
I said the house is black, and Chris started laughing.
That's a black and white picture,
But
Billy.
then Jake has sent me a colour photograph, and the house is black.
Is it actually black?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's black and white.
No, look, it's a coloured picture. Like.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah,
Hang
the
on.
house is black and white.
Yeah,
What
and the
would you say
change.
that is?
The
I think
what?
that's black or dark.
What year was that photograph taken? This whole
Billy's just not
podcast
giving
now
up on
is
this, is he?
I'm like a little
It
Rottweiler.
looks black in the coloured picture we have here.
Yeah, and like they changed. It was 112 Ocean Avenue, and they changed it to 108.
108, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, to divert from the actual podcast.
Oh, listen, did you see as well? So, you know, if somebody gives the coordinates of a house,
Yeah.
it's the
Longitude, latitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the latitude of the Amityville house is 40.666.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That latitude goes across, longitude goes vertical.
Well, whatever it is, longitude or latitude, I don't know, but I just remembered that they said 40.666,
Wow,
which is mad, isn't it?
that's a bit mad
Yeah.
because nobody would have googled that before.
That's true.
Jake, I knew it was
It's
true.
40.6664169.
He doubted me. He doubted me.
Just in the movie, it's a White House. But anyway,
And what colour is in the movie?
In the movies,
And I
the
will
white
point
house.
something
It's white.
else.
I do
I
apologise.
will
about
point
it.
something else out.
What?
If you go onto Street View,
Yeah. Oh, it's blurred out.
yeah.
Is
Only
that
for
what you were
privacy.
saying?
I'd say
See-
for privacy for the people.
Is it actually blurred out?
Oh, it is
Yeah.
actually blurred out.
Yeah. It's
And it
blurred
looks
out on
white in
Google
the
Maps.
photograph. In fairness, in the blur, it looks like a White House. I'm just not letting this go.
Sake, lads.
Why are we still arguing about a back
No,
or
we're not, we're not.
Anyway.
Much love, Chris. Much
But
love.
yeah, the longitude or latitude, and then it's blurred out. Yeah, they've done that
yeah.
on purpose. They've blurred it out.
Maybe
on
a
the street
couple.
view.
I think that's happened to a few houses where there's been
Yeah,
murders,
mass.
but
Yeah,
I'd say the people probably just want privacy.
yeah.
Because
Oh.
But the thing is,
imagine living in that house now, and the people that will call up to the door, can we come in? And
have a look around.
yeah,
you know.
honestly, like
I
I'd
know.
say,
I'd put
But,
big gates, and that would be
and
it.
Satanists would be going up and camping outside, and and then Jesus.
Yeah, but so apparently 4 families lived in it after the fact, wasn't it?
Yeah, and nothing.
But the thing is, think about it, they didn't stay too long, did they?
No, that was the whole thing that I noticed today. The house
No, I'm
has
not
been
saying-
sold.
Sell the house.
But I'm not saying that's
The reason.
evidence or anything, but
No.
they didn't actually, like, for
But it's
4
just when you
families.
take notice of things.
Yeah, 4 families moving in and moving out in the space of how many years? Like, that's a quick turnaround.
And I know anybody that's into the paranormal and into has done their research on the Amityville, and they're probably going to be listening to this scream and going, "It's fucking fake," and, oh, we're not saying
Oh,
it
no,
is or
no,
it
no,
isn't.
no.
And actually,
I'm just saying that I can't say because I wasn't there,
Yeah.
and you
What
get
we're doing,
We've talked about all the facts. Like
Yeah.
we've talked about the
the yes and the no.
evidence. We've talked about
Yeah.
people saying it's not. Like we're not.
like, we're very much aware that there's 2 sides. Like, some people say 100% happened, and other people say
and
100%
again,
didn't.
getting back to movies, everything was really highly dramatized because they have to do that. People won't watch the
Yeah.
movie. So,
Like, basically, all we're doing, we're just correlating the
we're
stories.
reiterating information to the listener.
That would be quite Billy.
Not very good,
Well done.
wasn't it? Reiterating that. We used that word a few weeks ago, I think.
I think so.
I think it was the word of the week.
So, forget about the Amityville for a moment, but in a house where that tragedy occurred, would you live in it? It doesn't have to be the Amityville house now.
Yeah.
Would you? Would it
Yeah.
bother you?
If I got it at a good price, I'd
If the bodies were still there,
I'd
it might
make it
bother me,
work.
yeah.
If there was a house for 600,000 and 6 people had been murdered, and then the house next door was 600,000 and there was nobody murdered, I'd go for the one where there was nobody murdered. But if it was 50,000, and you're like, geez, that's a good. Yeah, I'd get it. I just
You've
wouldn't
actually
tell-
shocked me, Tina. I thought you would go for the murder house all the time.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. I would go for the murder house if it was cheaper. But wait till I tell you, I wouldn't tell the kids.
I think your kids would find out quick enough and they commune with the dead.
What you've just said is the opening to so many horror movies.
Yeah.
A family
really is.
buy a house.
Don't go
because
down
it's
to the
cheap,
cellar.
because
Yeah.
Jake, would you go down to the cellar and get the laundry there, please?
you've literally just said the plot to a lot of horror movies.
Jake never to be seen again.
Yeah.
He didn't bring up the laundry. That's the only thing I remember.
Jake's down doing the laundry for the past 2 weeks.
Just never got around to it.
And then he comes up with a white sheet on him. Boom, boom.
But yeah, I'd live in it. I know a lot of people wouldn't, but if it was a good price, you were going in, getting a good old deal, you'd make it work. You'd go in and
Do you think it cross your mind from time to time?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
When we think about it, like going back in time, like we're probably all walking around areas where people were murdered, and do you know what I
just
mean?
don't know.
All joking aside, like,
Yeah,
or,
you just don't know about it.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
So Billy, would
Yes,
you
sir.
live in it?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as I had a good oven. My dinners.
Oh, for your
Yes, good oven and a nice view from the little window on the top.
Jake, would you live in it?
No.
No,
But if I didn't tell you, would you live in it?
Sure,
you
obviously.
had no choice. If you're not paying the mortgage, I think you don't
I
have a
feel
choice.
like it wouldn't. I don't know. This wouldn't be very positive.
You'd have a good garage.
No, I'd rather not think about it.
Okay, yeah.
Would
that's
you,
fine.
Chris?
I kind of don't know. I don't know. I think it is
It-
something that'd be in the back of my going, Jesus.
It just wouldn't be very positive. Like,
Yeah.
you'd rather somewhere
It definitely wouldn't be my first choice. Would I investigate it? Absolutely no.
I say you'd end up going crazy in it though. And I'm not being funny, but like I'd have digital recorders everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's
Everywhere.
it's just how it's how your brain works. Like if you know that happened,
Yeah.
like it's always going to be there, and like it's just how your brain works.
Like there's one guaranteed fact about that story is that the poor people lost their lives. Like that's the
horrible.
fact.
Yeah, that's
You can't take
absolutely.
that away.
You know, that's
Yeah,
100%.
the tragedy, like kids
And whatever about everything else, you can only take people by what they, you know, what they're saying, what they occurs or whatever. But I don't know if I'd live in it. I'd definitely be very interested in going to it and looking around. And
I'd rent it out for a couple of weeks.
I don't know if I don't know.
We'll make a good Airbnb.
Surprised somebody hasn't done that, to be honest. But
Yeah, that's the thing.
And also, the first people that went in used the beds. The
Yeah. The falls, the furniture that everyone killed on.
They did not.
Yeah, they only changed the
I
mattresses.
wouldn't be able to do that now.
Mm.
That wouldn't
they
be.
said-
That's what we're saying.
No,
Yeah,
no.
earlier they only changed the mattress and like the furniture was the original.
There's no IKEA back then either, so.
No.
Anyway,
But
they're
there
all
was a
joking aside. I wouldn't have done that now. That's
I wonder did they knowingly do that? They must have knowingly done it.
That's one thing I don't know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was looking into it and all today, but I didn't know if they
so they
knew.
have to know, like,
What
Because-
is the area like? I know just the general action, because I haven't seen any photographs of the whole area. Like, are the other houses similar to that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think
They're
the
all
houses
kind
are
of built on
very
the same
similar.
style.
And a
I-
gorgeous area.
I think the houses are similar.
Yeah,
What I was reading is, as I was saying, there's a lot of stories about, you know, ancient Indian burial grounds,
Yeah,
and it said a lot of people that live there believe in all that stuff.
an interesting location.
Yeah, if I was investigating that, I'd use just cameras and recorders.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
set up
Yeah.
cameras. Yeah, just like an audio
And
feed
motion
and
sensor cameras.
Yeah.
You know, night vision.
infrared
You
And
know.
I think
file cams.
I would just to get a feeling. I'd love to just go to somewhere on my own in the house
I think we'd all do that.
and just do an investigate, just to get a feeling for the. Do you know what I mean? For the house, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But it'd be just interesting to see what the house sounds like.
Well,
That's probably a weird
we've-
word to use, but
We've all
what's-
been to locations where tragedy has happened, so we kind of know from experience ourselves that when you go into a location like that, your mind can go crazy on
So
you.
that's
You
what,
have
yeah,
to.
yeah.
But like, I don't know. Again, I know I said yes earlier. I don't know if I could keep that up for months and months and months on end, or
Yeah.
you kind of just let your mind go. Oh, that's only a pipe, or that's only this, or that's only that.
Yeah, it'd
Yeah.
get on
Like
top
after a
of you
while, it
at
would get on
some
top of you.
stage.
So maybe I wouldn't live in it.
It would be interesting to go in. I know it's like one of the most famous hauntings ever, so it would be hard to find somebody who hasn't heard about it.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to go in with an investigator that didn't know the history of it, like.
Oh yeah.
You know, because sometimes we'd bring people into places and we wouldn't tell them some parts of the history
see what they come back with,
see what
yeah.
they pick up on and all. That would be
Why-
interesting.
Why do you think? Just literally popped into my head. Why do you think they haven't knocked it down
Yeah, usually after something like that, huge tragedy, they knock the house.
Yeah, it's a good.
or
question.
change it drastically? Change it.
I think they have changed the colour of the house.
You're just not letting that go, Billy. Are you?
What's the other one? The Demon House.
Yeah, that's gone.
That got knocked down.
Yeah.
I got knocked down. Yeah.
And Ed Gein's house was knocked.
Mm.
No, I don't know if you could call that, but
But the one in England, what should we call it? That's
that's still there.
that's still there. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying it should be. I'm only
Enfield.
just wondering now. Why
Enfield.
Why
Yeah.
didn't they?
I wonder
Yeah.
what's it's probably just the country, what they prefer to do, the state, like what the.
yeah. Or maybe they can't knock it. Maybe it's like a what do we call it? Like a listed building.
Could be, yeah, could be a list of
Could be
buildings,
something like
but
that,
it could be just like if people are living in it and people are interested in buying it and somebody else
Yeah.
moves into it, they're not going to knock it down.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the top window's been changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the
eye
shapes
window.
of windows.
Yeah, that's been changed. Yeah.
I'd love to talk to people that actually live in the area to see, like I know you were saying, Jake, about people, massive believers, but I'd love to just sit down, say, like, were you around, first of all, when obviously that happened, and just get their side of it as well, and see what they, like, is there people when they walk up to the gate to just run by the gate really quick, do you know what I mean? Or drive by the house really quick just to get away from it, or...
They'd kill you if you went there asking now, because as
Yeah.
far as I know, they're sick of people, aren't
Oh,
they?
you can only imagine.
Yeah.
You can absolutely only
Yeah, but
imagine.
when you get an Irish person asking a question, it's a bit different.
Yeah, we're Irish actually. Yeah, we might get away with
We're
it.
going over now in a few weeks. I'd say we rent a car and drive over,
Imagine us.
knocking in.
Imagine Chris rocking up. How you doing, lads? I just want to ask you.
Chris, that's the way you sound.
Is that different, Chris? Or?
Oh, sorry. These are doing the helium. That's
So, spanned a lot of movies. There's a lot of books about it. And as you were saying, Jack, it's very hard to find someone that hasn't heard it. It's hard to know, isn't it? It's hard. As I said, the only really known fact is that people lost their lives in it, and like a lot of like two very well known investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, said, yeah.
Well, all the Conjuring movies kind of had to take a bit from that story as well, like where he has the heart attack in the first, he had it obviously in the house and stuff. So everything is kind of where Ed, he had heart trouble, didn't he, as well, basically from the house, but in Conjuring he had it in the forest. There was nothing to do, but I'd say that's all based on Amityville as well. A lot that went on.
In the case of something like that, you know, it's so well documented. Everyone who's involved made statements, were on documentaries, spoke about it. So all you can do is get everyone's opinion and
100%.
Fascinating
and
story.
make your own mind up. That's what it is in the paranormal.
Yeah, you kind of have to, as Jake and Tina have said, and Chris as well, that you kind of just have to come to your own conclusion of it. Like you can't. I wouldn't recommend people just listening to our podcast and going, "Oh, it's definitely a demon," or "It's definitely this." Like,
Yeah, if you're interested in it, look into it more. That's what I always say to people. Like, I'll say my
Because
opinion.
there are documentaries
and I'll
out
say
there.
look into it more.
Yeah, and there is loads of stuff out there.
there's loads of
as you
it.
can
How
see.
geez, there is.
I haven't
Even-
read any of it, but there is loads of it.
Even on like Amazon Prime movies,
Yeah.
like there's
Yeah.
even more recent, like
Oh, 100,
really
yeah.
stupid movies made about just
With
to
the name
have
Amityville.
Yeah,
Amityville,
do you know what I mean? It's like
It's a dark like history of the place, obviously.
yeah.
You know?
But yeah, listen, all you can do is just make up your own. But like we're not saying it did or it didn't. We're just saying this is what's out there. This is the information about it, so to
it's our
speak.
opinion.
Sure, even the four of us here have slightly different opinions on it. You know, because we're biased to this or you're biased to that bit of information.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, anyway, what do you think? That was an interesting
it's
episode.
very interesting. And thank you, Chris, for all your research, and Tina and Jake. I only was interested in the colour of the house.
Thank the sources. Thank you. I wrapped
I know,
them up.
thank you. No, but still, like, you guys read a lot.
Rattled them off
Billy-
there at the start. I did.
Yes,
I,
Billy researched the colour of the house, so thank you for that, Billy.
I'm an artist. That's what I do. You know?
And got it wrong. I'm only messing.
Well, I got it kind of right.
I'm only
But-
messing.
So
have another
listen,
discussion
this
about
is an
this.
end of another great podcast. So from myself, Tina.
Deal.
Jake.
And Chris, and as always, guys, stay spooky.
You have been listening to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast. Intro and outro music, Nothing to Be Scared of but Kakuru. Main theme background music, Demon Night by Pharrell Wooten. Intro, outro and main theme music and sound effects sourced through the Epidemic Sound app. PRI podcast recorded and produced by Jake and edited and mixed by Bill using Adobe Audition. We hope you enjoyed our podcast, so why not join us for our very next supernatural podcast coming very soon.